Hey everyone. Hope everyone's doing good. Hope you all are doing happy, doing blessed, doing overall safe, and just doing well. And I hope you had a great summer 2024. So by now you've probably noticed that it's starting to change outside. Starting to get a little cooler. Maybe you don't need the air conditioner as much. Maybe you've probably taken the air conditioner out of your window by now. Stuff like that. And before we fully get into the swing of fall, before we start busting out our Halloween costumes and start preparing for Thanksgiving dinner, let's look back at summer 2024. What all was dropped, what all was announced, just everything that has happened in the summer of 2024 in terms of movies, TV, and gaming. Okay. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the news I kept my eye on in terms of movies and TV shows, as well as gaming. Then I'm going to start showing some trailers and talking about these trailers that dropped in terms of movies and games. And these are going to be movies and games that maybe have piqued my interest a little bit. Okay. For one reason or another, they have piqued my interest. Okay. So sit back, relax, grab yourself something to eat, grab yourself something to drink, and let's look at the summer of 2024 review in movies, TVs, and gaming. So let's begin our summer review with some news surrounding the saga of Gina Carano and Disney. Now, I'm going to do a little look back on this because it's been a while since we talked about this, and I kind of want to get everyone caught up to speed. So basically, what happened with Gina Carano is this: is that right around 2020, 2021, she premieres in a show called The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. Okay. The show is very popular. Her character, Cara Dune, is very popular. In fact, it's becoming so popular that there are stories going around. They are going to do a show centered around Cara Dune called Rangers of the New Republic. Then 2021 happens. And she puts out this statement. And I'm going to read this statement to you, okay? But I'm going to summarize a little bit because I do not want to get struck by YouTube or anyone else for reading it exactly as is. So I'm going to have to summarize it a little bit, okay? So the statement reads, they were beaten in the streets, not by them, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where they could easily round up them, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being that. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Okay, that was what she posted in 2021, on Twitter and on Instagram. All right. And basically, the way I read it is she was basically saying it starts out hating your neighbors because they're different, but leads to something worse. Okay. She made no mention of a political party or anyone. Okay. She made no mention of that. All right. Now, out of the blue, this whole Fire Gina Carano started popping up on Twitter. And I'm going to tell you my 2 cents on that later on. But it just started growing and growing and growing. And then on Twitter, and I had not been bought by Elon Musk at this point. On Twitter, we get this statement. This is a statement from Disney, and it said, Gina Carano is currently not employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. That was the statement made by Lucasfilm, okay? That basically fired her from The Mandalorian. That ended any thoughts of having a Rangers of the New Republic. She was basically fired from Disney. And there were even reports at the time, I remember, that where she would be seen on T-shirts worn by people at Disney parks, and those people would be asked to leave and go home and change their shirt. Okay, they wanted no image of her around anything related to Disney. Okay, nothing. Okay, and on top of that, it just kept on getting worse and worse. She kept on getting dropped from movie deals. Her talent agency dropped her. I mean, they were basically trying to erase her from Hollywood altogether. And if it weren't for the Daily Wire, they probably would have succeeded. Because at that point, the Daily Wire called her and said, "Hey, you want to do a movie with us?" And she did. And it was called Terror on the Prairie. And it got some good buzz. Okay. It was said to be a good movie over on the Daily Wire streaming service. Okay. So that happened. So before we get into the news about what happened this past summer, let me just give you my personal opinions on it. First off, I do not believe the Fire Gina Carano movement was organic. I think there was something going on behind the scenes at Lucasfilm, and I truly believe that there were Lucasfilm employees behind it. Okay. Maybe they paid people off. Maybe they made bots to do it. I just do not believe that there was a legitimate Fire Gina Carano movement based on her popularity. Okay. I do not believe there was any legitimate Fire Gina Carano movement going on. Okay. Secondly, all right, based on what we now know, okay, and this is like 3 years after the fact, based on what we now know, okay, that this was the first she heard of her firing. Okay. She flat out said it in an interview that the first she heard that she had been let go from Lucasfilm was this statement. Okay. So you're telling me that they were so mad about this statement that they could not call her in and tell her to her face that she'd been let go. And I will be honest with you. Disney can hire and fire who they want. All right. They literally can hire and fire who they want. But the fact they couldn't even call her in and face her to fire her, all right, tells me that that's a slow down. Because I was taught that if you're going to fire someone, you don't do it over the phone. You do it to their face. If they were worried about her getting angry or whatnot, they could have done it at McDonald's or something, okay, or at a restaurant and say, "Hey, look, this ain't working out. Your tweets are causing us problems, and we're going to have to let you go." Okay. Now, here's the other thing about that is she makes that stuff, but other actors have made far worse tweets going on the other side of the spectrum, calling Trump supporters this and that. Nothing happens to them. But she makes that statement and suddenly she's out the door. Nuh-uh. Okay. There's something wrong going on here. Okay. And I don't care if it's like behind the scenes politics and whatnot. That ain't right from my perspective. From my point of view, that ain't right. All right. Nothing that happened to her was right. Okay. And she got done wrong. She got done wrong by Hollywood. She got done wrong by Disney in so many ways. But since then, her fan growth, the growth of her love by the fans, because she did stand her ground, because she did not, bend the knee to Hollywood, has only made her grow bigger. And by that alone, it makes me see that the whole Fire Gina Carano hashtag that was going on at the time was not organic. Okay. Before, maybe I would have had questions about it, but after just seeing her fan growth and all that, then yeah, I think that whole hashtag was not organic. That there was a conspiracy either behind the scenes at Lucasfilm or somehow perpetrated by Lucasfilm to get her fired because she did not think like the rest of them. You know what I'm saying? She was a strong female character, but she didn't think like them. Okay. And I think that was a threat to them and that they let her go. And they more than likely used pressure on her talent agency and possibly on other studios to let her go, to get her canceled by Hollywood. And if it wasn't for the Daily Wire, they might have succeeded. Okay. I will just be honest with you. I think that if the Daily Wire had not stepped in, then while the fans may have loved her, she probably would never have worked in movies or TV shows again. Okay. She probably wouldn't have. All right. That's just my opinion on what happened. Now then, let's fast forward to 2023. Elon Musk buys Twitter. Okay. And in a statement, he makes this. If you were unfairly treated by your employer due to a posting or liking of something on this platform, we will fund your legal bill. No limit. Please let us know. Below that tweet, Gina Carano makes the statement, I think I qualify. Now let's fast forward again to this past fall, okay? So fall of 2023, we learned that Gina Carano is giving Elon Musk a whole bunch of material. Then February 2024 comes around, March, February, and she files suit against Disney for discrimination, claiming that she was discriminated against based not only on her political beliefs, but on the fact that she was a woman, okay? Which I can totally see, okay? I really can totally see both of those arguments. That, no, she was discriminated against because she believed one way while her co-workers who didn't believe that way were fine and dandy, okay? And as this suit's all coming out, we're learning about everything she had to go through, okay? We learned that she had to go through what she called struggle sessions, where she had to let people who were certain types of people, okay, basically talk down to her, okay? And I truly believe that all the stuff she has gone through, and you can look through it online, all the stuff she has gone through, had I gone through it, I would have quit. And I personally believe they were trying to get her to quit, okay? I think that was their plan all along, was to get her to quit. And when she wouldn't quit, they finally just came up with a reason to fire her. All right. So it's now 2024, and she filed suit against Disney. Okay. The suit's going on, and Disney has a motion to dismiss the lawsuit based on one reason or another. Okay. Judge throws out the lawsuit during the summer, and this is the news I want to talk about. This past summer, the judge has thrown out Disney's motion to throw out the suit, okay, and have it go forward. On top of that, the judge has also stated that they're going to begin arbitration before they go to trial. Now, this is big news, and I'm going to explain why this is so big, okay? For a while now, we've heard that there's been some hinky stuff going on behind the scenes at Disney. Some real hinky stuff, okay? We've seen videos of them telling people they're putting in gay and transgender issues into programming. Not just adult programming, but kids programming. From cartoons, whatever, all right? Now, this is big because if this does go to trial, there's going to be this little thing called discovery. Now, what is discovery in the legal sense? Okay, and let me explain to you what discovery is in the legal sense. So, discovery in law refers to the process of exchanging legal information and known facts of a case. It is a pretrial procedure where parties exchange evidence, witness statements, and documents relevant to the case. The goal is to ensure both sides have access to the same information before going to trial. That is the legal term for discovery. Okay. This is big. Okay. That means that not only can they get information from her about what all happened and everything, she can get information from them. And everything in discovery is made public. Okay. So basically, the judge was telling Disney, arbitrate a settlement. Now, if a settlement is reached, okay, and she has made statements, I'm not taking no money. This ain't about money for Gina, I believe, at this point. This is about vindication. All right. This is about setting things right. All right. At this point, this is about her showing the world what really happened. Everything that was going on behind the scenes, all of it. All right. So basically, what's going to happen is both sides for about a year. Okay, this will not come to trial, if it comes to trial, until September of 2025. Okay, but the judge is basically telling Disney by forcing them into arbitration to make a settlement of some kind. Okay, she's basically forcing Disney and giving them a chance to get out of discovery. Because after everything that's come out about Disney recently, whether you're talking about the D-Files or the leaked video of their attempts at putting a secret agenda in shows, all that. Everyone and their uncle knows that if Gina gets these files and makes them public, there is going to be some huge bombshells. And we're not talking about people just getting fired. We're talking about huge fines here. We're talking about loss of stock here. We're talking about possible protesting here. Okay, that's how big this is, I think. Okay, because there's no way the judge would have forced arbitration if perhaps she wasn't trying to help Disney save face. And if it's big enough, and I think the judge saw it was big enough, if it was big enough, and this is where my mind is going right now, then it could really cause repercussions throughout Disney. I'm not just talking about shows. I'm talking about the theme parks and everything. And what my mind instantly went to when I heard that was that basically the judge is trying to force Disney to arbitrate a settlement of some type, so that way Disney can save face, not have to bring all this stuff out in the open. Because if it comes out, you're talking about people getting fired, major people getting fired. You're talking about major stock loss. You're talking about possible protests. And I truly believe this could be a possibility. You're also talking about a possible buyout by someone who will change things around. We've heard rumors for years that because of Bob and Elon's animosity between one another, because a little while ago, Elon Musk made a statement to Bob Iger because Bob Iger was basically telling people, do not advertise on X because Elon Musk is a free speech advocate. Okay. And Elon Musk made a statement. And that statement starts with GFY. Okay. You can just look at the statement online and you'll understand what that is. Okay. But basically, Bob Iger and Elon Musk do not like each other after that. And for a while now, there have been rumors going around that Elon Musk could try and buy out Disney. He bought out X and changed it around completely. X is a completely different spot now than what it was. Okay. X is a lot more free. X allows for a lot more freedom of speech. It ain't perfect, but it allows for a lot more freedom of speech than what it once did. Okay. And, he did a lot of fat cutting with X in terms of who was staying on, who was staying off, all that. Okay. Is it perfect? No, but it's a whole lot better than what it was. All right. And there's been rumors floating around for a while now that he could try and buy out Disney. And I think that could be a possibility with Discovery. All right. I think that if Gina gets this information and makes this public, okay, then you're going to see massive repercussions throughout Disney. Okay. This thing ain't going to be ripples. This is going to be a tidal wave. And not to kind of go overboard, but there could also be legal repercussions as well. We're talking not just like fines, but possible jail time for people. That's where my mind is going. And I think the judge is forcing Disney to do arbitration because she sees something maybe she saw something in what was already laid out before her. And she says, arbitrate or else. This will go to court, and I guarantee you will not like the result. All right. So I firmly believe that she's forcing this arbitration so that way, basically giving Disney an opportunity to save themselves. Okay. So that's big news that happened this past summer. Okay. The first big news was that Disney's motion for them to drop the case was completely denied. Okay. The second big news was that the judge is forcing arbitration on Disney. Now, what does this mean for me? Where does my mind instantly go with this? And I've already told you a little bit, but I'm going to say it again. I think there is some big, big bombshells in this discovery. Okay. This ain't about money for Gina. Okay, if this was about money, she probably would have taken an offer by now. This is about vindication and setting things right. Because she was messed over swirling so bad, okay, that it's time to make things right, okay? Because there are still people out there who believe the whole fire Gina Carano nonsense, okay, who do not like Gina. And she's wanting the truth to be known that what happened to her should not happen to anyone. Shouldn't happen to anyone. Okay? And she wants the truth to be known of who did what. And I think that there are massive bombshells in this. I would not be surprised to see the bombshell of her perhaps being framed. And I don't mean being framed like she didn't post it, because we all know she posted it. What I'm talking about is the Fire Gina Carano movement, where it was not organic, where perhaps they created bots to do this, where perhaps people inside of Lucasfilm were doing this, where perhaps they were paying some creators to do this. Okay. I would not be surprised by that. Okay. I would not be surprised that way before this tweet, there was talk of trying to get her out the door. And that's why they made her go through struggle sessions and all this other nonsense before they officially fired her. Okay. I firmly believe that. I also firmly believe that this was an attack against Jon Favreau because he likes making stories. He does not like this nonsense they've been putting in Disney here recently. And we're going to talk more about that here in a little bit. But all this nonsense they've been putting forth in Disney recently. So, continuing on with Dark Disney, as I'm not now going to probably call them, they got some more bad news this summer. So, towards the beginning of summer, right around June, a small show premiered on Disney called The Acolyte. Now, this show was already going to be a dumpster fire from the start. Because before the show even premiered, they were making the narrative that if you did not like this show, you were an ist or an ism. Okay. That you were basically this or that. They even made statements like if you didn't like this show, then you weren't a Star Wars fan. Okay. Like they're the arbiter of what a Star Wars fan is. Okay. But anyway, it premiered, and based on what I've heard, I've not seen the show because by the time it came on, I let Disney Plus go. Okay. But based on what I've heard from actual people who have actually seen it, it was a dumpster fire. Okay. I mean, you had space witches, you had people calling the Force the thread, you had self loathing, you had the actress attacking the fans for not liking her. I mean, all kinds of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, it cost $320 million to make. $320 to make. Well, we are now getting news that it will not be coming back for a second season. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It will not be coming back for a second season. This is no surprise to me because, first off, my big problem with The Acolyte, based on what I know of it, and I've not seen it, is first off, it tried to change the lore. Secondly, it takes place in a time frame that Disney has tried to bring forth called the High Republic, but no one liked. Okay. Third off, some of the stuff they talked about in their promotional material literally happens for only 3 seconds. And finally, it was just a whole, if you didn't like this show, attack the fan who did not like this show's mentality. Okay. And it's the same playbook we've seen done over and over again. And every single time it ends up the same. It pushes people away. I equate it to this. Imagine if Coca-Cola came out with a new flavor, like black pineapple or something like that. And some liked it, but the majority of Coca-Cola fans did not like it. Okay. Now imagine if people behind the scenes at Coca-Cola, people who make the drink, said, guess what? If you don't like black pineapple, then you are ism or whatnot. Or if you don't like black pineapple, then you are not a Coca-Cola fan. You are not a Coca-Cola drinker, any of that. Imagine that happening. That's what happened to Star Wars fans. Okay? Is that if they were told, if you did not like this, that, or the other thing, if you did not like the Acolyte, then you were an ist or an ism. And if you did not like the Acolyte, then you were not a true Star Wars fan. I got news for the people behind the Acolyte. You are not the arbiters of what makes a Star Wars fan a Star Wars fan. Okay? You are not the keepers of the keys to being a Star Wars fan. You're not the ones who give out the little passes that says, oh, congratulations. You watched the Acolyte and you liked it, so you are a Star Wars fan. You are not the ones who get to say, oh, you didn't like the Acolyte? Well, I'm sorry. You've been denied access to being a Star Wars fan. I'm sorry. You're not these people. Okay? And I know I'm kind of getting off on a rant here, but this playbook needs to end. Okay? And I'm hoping this will be enough to wake people up to people behind the scenes at Disney say, okay, this ain't working. Something needs to change. Okay. I'm hoping that's what happens. I really do. Because this playbook of the whole blaming the fans thing has got to stop. Okay. This whole playbook of saying these fans are not true Star Wars fans if they don't like this pile of garbage has got to stop. Or else eventually there ain't going to be a Star Wars. Okay. Eventually, that what was it, $6 billion that they paid George Lucas for the rights to Star Wars and Lucasfilm and all that, that money is going to be gone. Okay. And people like Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy are going to have to explain to stockholders how they wasted $6 billion, possibly more. Okay. But to kind of summarize what I'm saying, the Acolyte will not be coming back for a second season. Honestly, I don't really care because based on what I've heard, the Acolyte has been complete trash. But yeah, it ain't coming back for a second season. And if we're lucky, they will remove it from Disney Plus entirely and basically just try to do something that brings back the fans because they're the ones who keep Star Wars going. They're the ones who are going to go out and buy the toys. They're the ones who are going to go out and spend thousands of dollars on merchandise, not the critics. And that's the people that should be, adhering to is the fans. And I got news for Disney. From my point of view, you guys are not the arbiter of what makes a fan a fan. You never have been and you never will be. That's just my 2 cents on it. So this next story, the final story in our Dark Disney movie segment, movie TV segment, if you want to call it that. I really don't know what to think of it at this moment. I really don't know what to think of it. Okay. Part of me is like, okay, he's coming back. Woohoo. Another part of me is like, why is he coming back as this character? So this past year, San Diego Comic Con happened. All right. And this is like a big time pop culture convention. Okay. It started out as a comic convention, but now it's like a huge pop culture convention. You're talking about movies, TV, video games, comics across the board. Okay. Well, Marvel does this Hall H thing every year where they do a bunch of announcements at what they call Hall H. Okay. Well, this year it was revealed that Robert Downey Jr. will be returning as Doctor Doom. Now, I really don't know what to think of this. I mean, I seriously do not know what to think of this. All right. Part of me is happy that he's coming back because really he started the MCU. Okay. Iron Man started the MCU. Then you had Captain America. Then you had Thor. Then you had the first Avengers movie. Then you have phase two. Then you have phase three. And really, nothing has been the same since the end of the Avengers with Infinity War and Endgame. Okay. But now he's coming back in 2 Avengers movies. He's coming back in Doomsday, and he's coming back in Secret Wars. I really don't know what to think of this because there is a precedent for Tony Stark becoming Doctor Doom in the comics. I understand that, okay? But I have to wonder if this ain't an attempt to kind of wipe Robert Downey Jr.'s like contribution to Marvel away. Okay. And maybe that's just the negativity talking in me. All right. But he started the MCU. Okay. And I'm just kind of concerned that they're trying to wipe all that away. And instead of making everyone think him the good guy, make everyone think he's the bad guy. Okay. Make everyone remember these movies instead of the original MCU like we have been. I really don't know what to think of this. Okay. Part of me is happy that he's coming back and all that. I just wish it was as Iron Man. Okay. I wish that there was some type of loophole they found to where he could come back. Because at the end of Infinity War, or Endgame, I assume, I apologize. At the end of Endgame, he sacrificed himself to save half the universe. Okay. Actually he sacrificed himself to save all the universe. Okay. Because at that point, Thanos basically told him, I was going to wipe everything clean and start anew, and no one will remember you. Okay. And in his final act, he saved, Pepper, his daughter Morgan, and everyone in the universe from Thanos' madness. Okay. And I was kind of hoping that they were going to do something to where, like, maybe someone used the Infinity Gauntlet one more time to bring back certain heroes. All right. But now I don't know what to think of it because now I'm worried that they're going to get into some like multiverse stuff. And we've already had multiverse stuff in certain movies. We've had multiverse stuff in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Of course, Doctor Strange, all that stuff. But I'm really worried that they're going to start getting into like the multiverse stuff. And that's going to confuse people. Okay. Because you're going to have people who go and watch the original Marvel MCU movies and say, hey, wait, that's Doctor Doom. And then come back and be all confused. Like, is he this Iron Man? Is he this Tony Stark? Is he that Tony Stark? Like, what's going on here? All right. That's my whole thing about it, is that when you get into like the multiverse stuff, you confuse people. You say, oh, okay, well, it ain't this version of Tony Stark, it's that version of Tony Stark. And you kind of confuse people who are not into the lore. Okay. And if people get confused, it opens them up to nonsense. And that's what is really concerning to me, is that they're trying to create like a multiverse thing of Tony Stark, where in the original MCU verse, he was Iron Man, he was a hero, all that. And then somehow this version of Tony Stark, the one that becomes Doctor Doom, comes into our reality, and now he's all evil and stuff. And that's where we get Doomsday and Secret Wars. Okay. I'm just really concerned about how they're going to do this. But suffice to say, he is coming back. He will be coming back as Doctor Doom from the comics. What version he will be playing, I do not know. No, actually, no one knows at this moment. The Russos are directing it. They've done Infinity War and Endgame. And I think if Marvel can just stay out of their way, that would be cool. Okay, that would be awesome. Just stay out of the way and let them do their thing. Okay, because they have proven they know how to do stuff. But I'm just kind of worried that Marvel is kind of delving too deep into this multiverse stuff, where you have multiple versions of heroes. I mean, we've already seen this with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Okay, we've already seen this with Doctor Strange, where there are multiple versions of it. I mean, it's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? And plus, a lot of people are going to know him as Iron Man. They're going to remember that sacrifice he did. And I'm kind of wondering if that's just not making what Tony Stark did at the end of Endgame lessen a little bit. That's a concern for me, because what he did at the end of Endgame, he sacrificed himself for the entire universe. All right, He sacrificed himself for the entire universe and saved the entire universe, but at the cost of his life. And I really don't want them to cheapen that sacrifice because that really did complete Tony Stark's arc from this drunken playboy who literally didn't care about anyone or anything to this hero, this noble man who would, like Steve Rogers made a statement. Steve Rogers made the statement one time. Would you have? Would you be that guy who would jump on the grenade if you had to? And he did. He proved that he could be that guy who would jump on the grenade if he had to. He did. He jumped on the biggest grenade in the universe. He used the Infinity Gauntlet to save everyone. Okay. And I really don't want them to cheapen that sacrifice. Okay. And that's something I really don't want is them to cheapen that sacrifice and to cheapen that arc of this guy who doesn't care about anyone but money and to this hero who finally got a family, finally had people who truly cared for him, and finally made the world a better place than when he got it. You know what I'm saying? And I really don't want them to cheapen that. And that's what really concerns me about him coming back as Doctor Doom. I'm worried they're going to wipe all that away. And I really do not want them doing that. So I want to talk about one last story before we start getting into the trailer segment of our TVs and movies. And this deals with Halo. Now, we're not talking about Halo the video game. We're talking about Halo the movie, the TV show, I should say. And this was done over on Paramount Plus, and it came on for 2 seasons. Well, we found out this past summer that Halo, the TV series, has been canceled. And I kind of want to talk about what happened here. Okay, I kind of want to talk about what all happened here. All right. So everyone believes that Halo was primed for a TV series, a proper TV series. Now there is a mini series over on YouTube called Halo Forward Onto Dawn. It was made by fans for fans, and it came out pretty good. And I personally think that because of the reception of that series, that we got a Halo TV series. Okay, I firmly believe that because of the reception of that, we got a Halo TV. Here's the problem, though, and it's kind of a big problem. There's a couple of problems actually. First off, when it came on, the creators said they did not play the game. They have not played Halo, and they have no intention of it. How are you going to make a TV series if you know nothing about the game? They basically said they want to know nothing about the game, that they want to make a clean slate, essentially. But you're making a series based off an IP, okay? And you're basically saying, okay, we don't care about the history or anything. We want to come in clean. Well, then you don't know then you don't know Halo, basically. All right. You don't know the story around it. You don't know the lore around it or anything. You don't know how the characters act and interacted. You don't know anything about Halo. So how can you make a series about Halo? Secondly, they came out and said also that they were making a new lore for Halo. Okay. So just to be clear, okay, they do not care about the characters. They do not care about the actual story of the original Halo games. And they don't care about any of the lore that was established in this series, game series. And they're making a TV show that's going to have a brand new lore, brand new stories, and brand new characters. Now, I can accept brand new characters, okay? Do not get me wrong, okay? But when you're sitting there saying, okay, we're not going to go by the lore you already know, we're going to make our own lore. That's a problem for me personally. That's really a problem for me personally because that tells the fans you don't care about what's been established. That you're basically making your own story and just slapping Halo on top of it. But that's basically all you're doing. Okay? That's really why this show failed. is because the people behind the scenes, and I'm pretty sure there were people who played Halo, but I'm talking about the writers, the directors, the producers, did not attempt to play the games, did not care about the lore, and really did not care about the fans. Because if they had cared about the fans, they would have saw that the fans loved the original lore and they would have crafted a story around the original lore. I mean, they did it with Forward Unto Dawn, and it's a popular like YouTube video over on YouTube, made by fans for fans. And I think this goes back to something that's happening a lot here lately, is that a lot of these shows and adaptations do not care about fan feelings. They just don't care. Okay. And I really do think that it is coming through. And I think that nowadays when we hear, the word adaptation, okay, that it's coming to a point where we instantly cringe because we know that if they don't follow the lore that's been established in whatever property they're adapting, whether it's Tom Clancy's The Division, Ghost Recon, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed, if they don't actually, stick with the lore that's been established, then we know it's going to be garbage. And we cringe because we don't want our favorite properties to be turned into garbage, you know? And that's what's happening again. Okay. So honestly, this is just another example of people wanting to tell their story, but instead of their story being good, they slap Halo or Call of Duty or whatever. They slap whatever name they want on it and sit there and say, okay, we don't care about the characters. We don't care about the lore. We don't care about what's already been established. We're going to tell our own story, but we're going to slap Halo on it. That's basically what it is. All right. And it's just another one of those cases. So really, I'm not surprised. I really ain't surprised. I've seen some of the stuff they said about it, and none of it really showed that they cared. Honestly, none of it really spoke or showed that they knew who Master Chief was. So I am honestly not surprised that this happened, and I fully expect that this is going to keep happening until at such time as people start caring about the fans. Because until they actually start caring about the fans and until they actually start being fans themselves and putting their whole heart into, keeping the lore and keeping the stories that's been established, then we're going to keep on seeing stuff like this. Okay. But until these people stop doing that, until these people stop trying to put their stories into the Halo universe, until these people stop like trying to basically say, okay, we're going to tell our story, but we're just going to slap Halo on it instead of trying to put their story into the lore somehow. Follow the lore that's been established by the fans, for the fans, and all that. We're going to keep on seeing stuff like this, and hopefully that will change eventually. So, normally in the summer, they start dropping movie trailers to kind of stir up interest in movies. Okay. And I'm going to be honest with you. There were a few that did catch my interest a little bit for one reason or another. But this was a dry summer when it came to movie trailers, at least for me. I really didn't see anything that really caught my interest. Okay. Really did not see anything that caught my interest. Not during the Super Bowl last year and definitely not during the summer. Okay. There were a few that looked interesting, but they just did not catch my interest for one reason or another. Okay. So we are going to look at the ones that did catch my interest. So these are the movie trailers for the summer of 2024. So starting off with our movie trailers, let's focus on the one that just dropped just as summer was ending. Okay. And that is from the world of John Wick, Ballerina. Now, I really like John Wick movies. Okay. John Wick movies are really good movies. And I've seen this trailer a couple of times since recording this video. And so I'm going to kind of give you my overall impressions of this video. But so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Okay. I really am. But this here is the trailer, the first trailer from the movie Ballerina that comes from the world of John Wick.
Do you like the dogs? I know a school.
Now, already we're seeing Winston, okay? And this whole scene right here, where she's covered in blood, and I'm going to go back to it a little bit.
Do you like the dogs? I know a school where they teach dances.
See, look, she's covered in blood. So I'm thinking that somehow she has a connection to Winston, okay? Either he knew her father or he heard about what happened to her. Somehow she has a connection to Winston somehow that we really don't know about until now, okay? So that's why he's there, okay? Maybe he was made her guardian in the event of something happening to her parents or whatnot. That's the overall impression I'm getting with this scene, okay? That he sees, the possibility with her, that he sees what she could become. And so he's bringing her into this world, to give her a chance at justice or revenge or whatever you want to call it. But I do think that she does have some kind of connection to Winston.
I could take you there if you'd like.
To stop the assassin, you must become the assassin.
Now, this right here is really curious to me because at this point, I think that we are seeing John with still the Roscoe Roma. Now, remember, when the movie started, he had left the whole life behind. Okay, he did the impossible task of Vigo. He had left the Roscoe Roma. He had burnt his ticket. Okay, and in order to get justice and to finally get away from that life, he had to redo his ticket, essentially. Okay, but I think at this point he had not burned his ticket yet. I think at this point his legend is starting to grow as she's seeing this. Okay, so I think at this point what we're seeing is him still there. Okay, that he's still there with the Roscoe Roma, that he has yet to burn his ticket. He may not have even met his future wife yet. So I think that we are going to see different parts of John Wick. My suspicion is that this movie is going to confirm whether or not John Wick survived the end of John Wick 4. That's my suspicion. Okay, that as all that stuff with John Wick was going on, this is also going on. Okay.
You will always be weaker. You will always be smaller. You want to win? Improvise. Adapt. Cheat.
Now, that whole speech right there gives me a lot of hope for this. Because we don't want to see women throwing dudes across the room. Because that ain't realistic, okay? We don't want to see that. What we want to see are women using their flexibility and their smarts to overcome stronger opponents, okay? And they're doing it right, okay? This ain't going to be another Rey where suddenly she gets the Force, okay? She's going to have to learn how to cheat, how to survive. She's going to have to earn her cred. And I'm liking what I'm seeing so far in that department. So, yeah, as far as, what they call woke, where it's women all powerful all the time, yeah, I'm not seeing that so far.
Welcome to the content.
And we're seeing Riddick again, Lance Riddick. We miss him. He was a great addition to the John Wick universe. And I don't know if this is going to be AI or if I think he filmed this before he died. But still, it's going to be kind of heartbreaking seeing him on screen again, just because we missed him being in the movies.
Eve Macaro of the Roscoe Roma. What a pleasure to see you again.
You have no idea what you just walked in.
Oh yeah, there's Daryl Dixon right there. Okay, one of my favorite characters in The Walking Dead when I watched The Walking Dead was Daryl Dixon, because he didn't seem like the average hero. You know what I'm saying? But over time, he turned out to be a complete total badass. And then we saw him in Days Gone. Loved him in Days Gone, the video game. I mean, everything he does, Boondock Saints, everything he does, he excels at in my book. Okay, he knows where he belongs. He stays in his lane, and he just rocks it. So yeah, that right there is already selling me. Okay. Now, see, that right there is what I'm talking about earlier. We're not seeing her just like fling dudes across the room. We're seeing her have to work and have to fight for survival, okay, against people who are stronger than her. And she's having to use her, not her strength, but so much her flexibility, her intelligence, and like the woman said earlier, she's having to cheat to survive, okay? So, yeah, I'm already liking that, because they are making a strong woman in this. Not a woman who's been given everything, but a woman who has to earn everything. Now, another thing I'm also noticing is she's not fighting like John Wick, or she's not shooting like John Wick. John Wick does the whole like reload flick thing that's become very popular now, and she didn't do that. So I didn't see that there. So I'm wondering if they've got her own style of gunplay going on here. Like they got John Wick style, and then they got her style. So I'm wondering if they're going to do that.
They killed my father. This isn't done until they're dead.
Fate is a very humbling thing.
You're him. The one they call the Baba Yaga. How do I start doing what you do?
Looks like you already have.
Now, see, they're linking it, okay? So I'm having to wonder if maybe in the ballerina movie, they're going to say that he survived somehow. Now, look, we know what happened at the end of John Wick 4, okay? He got shot like 3 times, but he was still able to get out. He was still able to get his friend Kane out. He was able to save their daughter, okay? But at the end, it was like he asked Winston to take him home. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe he didn't survive, and they're going to confirm it in this. Now, this also could be before all that happened, okay? But I'm just wondering if they are not going to confirm that John Wick survived John Wick 4, okay? And that this is their way of doing it, And no release date. We don't got a release date on this yet. Now, something else I've noticed here is that if you look at this gun room, okay, this looks like a gun room, okay, for a Continental, okay? Now, I'm not specifically saying that this is from the one in New York, but they're making it look like it is. And this looks completely different than the one we saw in the John Wick movies, okay? In the John Wick movies, they had like a huge safe type of deal, okay? And if you remember in John Wick 4, they destroyed the Continental in New York, okay? So I'm starting to wonder, and maybe that's what they're leading us to, that this is the rebuilt Continental in New York. And this is Winston's gun room right here. Because you remember, his gun room looked completely different in John Wick 2 or was it 3? I think it was 3. That the gun room looked completely different in that one than it does here. Now, this could be a completely different gun room to a Continental, okay? Completely different. Or it could be the New York Continental has been rebuilt and this is the new gun room. So that's just something else I noticed right there as well. But yeah, this was the first John Wick movie. I know we had the Continental series a while back, but this is really the first movie that's coming from the world of John Wick called Ballerina. There is no release date. I suspect it'll come out probably summer next year if they're already dropping a trailer now. But yeah, like, I am so sold on this. You know, just the way they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? They're actually making a powerful female, a female that's not being given everything on a silver platter, where she has to earn her chops and fight like a female. You know what I'm saying? Not using strength, but using her agility, her flexibility, and to cheat. You know what I'm saying? To cheat. Okay? So yeah, I am so sold on this. Okay? I am just so sold on this already. But yeah, like, that was the first trailer from Ballerina, the first movie that's coming from the world of John Wick. I'm already sold on this. I'm going to definitely keep my eye open for other trailers. But I suspect it'll probably come out next year sometime. There is no official release date as of yet. But I suspect it'll probably be like May, the beginning of summer, that movie season next year, for a release date. Unless they push it back, which I would understand if they wanted to push it back because of one thing or another. But yeah, I'm already sold on this. And this was a great, like, final summer trailer for us to see. But yeah, this was the first trailer from Ballerina, the movie from the world of John Wick. So this past summer, a movie trailer kind of came out of nowhere. And I'm just going to be honest with you, okay? I really do not see the need for this, okay? This honestly screams to me desperation from Hollywood, okay? That they would even greenlight this. Because the movie Gladiator was one of my favorite movies. Full On was one of my favorite movies grown a long time ago. And it's still a good movie. And I really don't see the need for them to do a sequel. But they are. And they're calling it Gladiator 2. I really don't see the need for them to do a sequel. Russell Crowe was great in that movie. And this movie has caught my attention because it looks good. But I'm really worried that they're going to ruin the first one. That's where my real worry is. Okay? But look, we're going to take a look at this movie, and I'm just going to give you some of my opinions on it. But I'm just going to tell you right now, I really do not see a need for a sequel to the original Gladiator. Because Russell Crowe did such a good job in that movie. All of them did such a good job in that movie that I really just don't see a need for another Gladiator movie. I really don't. Because I think that it would ruin the first one. And that's where my fear is coming from. That they're intent on ruining the first one. That they're going to ruin the first one with this one. If it can't live up to at least some of the standards of the first one. But anyway, this here is the trailer for the sequel to the original Gladiator, Gladiator 2.
Strength and honor!
It is an art, choosing gladiators. They're usually prisoners of...
Now, I've seen this trailer a couple of times already. I'm having to wonder if this ain't Juba. Okay? Now, if you remember, Juba was Russell Crowe's friend in the original movie, and he survived to the end. If you remember that final scene where he's digging in the ground of the Coliseum and putting the little wooden dolls in there, I happen to wonder if this perhaps ain't Juba. Okay, that's where my mind is going with this. But we're going to keep on watching. You'll see what I'm talking about.
war.
I claim this city for the glory of Rome.
You have something in you. Rage. Never let it go. It will carry you to greatness.
Now, throughout this whole sequence right here, I think that's supposed to be Lucius. I really do think that's supposed to be Lucius. Now, that ain't supposed to be Lucius, but I think that Lucius is the one they're talking about.
For the glory of Rome.
You have something in you. Rage. Never let it go. It will carry you to greatness. I own you now. But whose head could I give you to satisfy your fury?
The general will do. Rome has taken everything from
Like I said before, I think that's supposed to be Lucius. And you'll see why here in a second.
me.
See right there. That looks like his mother from the first film, okay? So I'm thinking this is supposed to be Lucius. All right.
But I will have my
And like I said before, right there, Denzel Washington's character, I think that's supposed to be Juba. Okay, they haven't specifically said the name, but I think that's supposed to be Juba. And by the way they're doing the trailer, I think Juba's on a quest for revenge. Probably because they took Maximus from him. Probably because they took his family from him. You know?
have my vengeance.
There is plenty of pain waiting for you in the next life. I don't know why you are so greedy for it in this one.
Now, I'm seeing the same action sequences. You know, really, they are keeping up with the action sequences. So I'm glad for that. Okay.
Your Majesties.
This is your gladiator.
It is. I have the trust of the emperors. It will clear my path to the throne. You will be my instrument.
I will never be your instrument in this life or the next.
Lucius, take your father's.
So yeah, it is Lucius. It is Lucius because she calls him Lucius.
Lucius, take your father's strength. His name was Maximus.
Wait a second. Hold on a minute. Did she really say that? Because, like, in the first one, when Maximus returns, okay, he's already like 8 or 9. So either she is like lying to him saying that Maximus is your father, or something happened between the two of them that we don't know. Because in the original, Maximus had a wife and kids, okay? And when he returned, they were murdered, okay? And by the time he made it to Rome, she already had him. He was already like 8 or 9 years old. So did something happen before, like before he met like his wife and his wife? Is that what they're saying here? That before he met his wife, that he had a relationship with her, which we knew she had a relationship with her, but there was never anything explicitly stated about Lucius being his son in the first one. So are they trying to change the story of the first one? I really hope not. I really hope they're not trying to do that.
It's Maximus, and I see him in you.
Most fighters won't survive.
You must help him.
Strength among us! I don't fight for power. I fight to free Rome from men like them.
Your name will be forgotten!
To restore order, I must have power.
Everything is forgotten in time. Empires fall. So do emperors.
This is war! Real war!
The odds are against you.
The odds are always against me.
Whoa, hold on a minute. So in the last one, they didn't have like any like ocean sequences in the Colosseum. Now they do. Oh man, that's gonna be so epic right there. I'll have to give them credit on that one.
Ready to roll!
So it's coming out November 22nd. Like I said before, I thought the first Gladiator was a great film. It still is a great film. It's actually one of my favorite films to watch still. But my main concern is the whole part where they talk about Lucius being told that his father was Maximus. Now, in the first one, we knew that Lucius's mother and Maximus had some type of relationship. Okay, it was obvious. But when he came back to Rome, okay, he was the boy was already like 8 or 9 years old. Okay, so like, are we saying that before he had his wife and child, he had a relationship with her too? Because I do not remember that in the first one. Okay, I know that they had a relationship, but I don't remember them ever like explicitly stating that they had relations. You see what I'm saying? And that's kind of concerning to me because, like, are they trying to change the lore? Are they trying to change like what happened in the first one or add to it? If they're trying to add to it, all right. But if they're trying to flat out change it, no. Now she could have just been lying to him, saying, "Hey, you know, your father's this guy," because she really doesn't know who his father is, you know. But if she wasn't lying to him, if they actually are trying to change the story of the first one, that's concerning to me because I don't want them changing the first one, and I'm trying to figure out if Denzel Washington's character is Juba. Yeah, right there. And I'm gonna remove myself from the screen there for a second. Is that Juba? Because remember, Juba was in the first one, and he was Maximus' friend. His wife and daughter had been taken from him by Rome, and he'd been made a slave when he met Maximus. And at the end, he survived, and he got his freedom, and he was able to, you know, essentially bury Maximus. You know, he buried the statue of his wife and daughter inside the sand. So I'm kind of wondering if that perhaps ain't Juba. Like Juba somehow had gotten high up in the Roman hierarchy for revenge, not just for his wife and child, but for Maximus. And I'm kind of wondering if he's maybe perhaps using Lucius to get his revenge, to bring Rome crashing down. So I'm kind of wondering about that, you know. But yeah, that was, you know, Gladiator 2. Look, I just really don't see the need for this. You know, the first Gladiator film was so good. Now, look, I'm not saying this does not look good, okay? I'm just worried that they're going to try to bring down the first one. That's my main concern, is that they're going to sit there and try to bring down the first one by changing stuff to it. Now, if they add to the first one, I'm all for that. But don't sit there and try to change the story of the first one, okay? And that's my main concern right there, okay? But just all the throwbacks they have to the first one, I don't think they're trying to change to it. I think they're trying to add to it. And I'm all for it. But yeah, that was Gladiator 2. It is coming out in November. I'm definitely going to keep my eye open for this one. I really am. You know, just with all the action sequences, and the big time action sequences look to be back. But yeah, that was Gladiator 2. It's coming out this November. You know, it is something I'm definitely going to keep my eye open for. That is definitely for sure. Now, moving on, we got 2 trailers from Marvel that have kind of piqued my interest. And the first one that's kind of piqued my interest is Skeleton Crew. Now, I've heard this being described as Star Wars meets the Goonies. You know, those 80s, you know, adventure films with the kids and all that stuff. So that's what I've heard this described as Star Wars meets Goonies, okay? And I really don't know how I feel about that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, can that even be done? I mean, it's an interesting idea. Don't get me wrong. It is a real interesting idea. But can that even be done? But anyway, we're going to check out the trailer, and I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts and opinions on it. Now, already the sound is bringing back like memories of like the Goonies and the Last Starfighter. You know, those 80s action films with the kid where they had the kids as the heroes in it, you know, stuff like that. Monster Club is another one that comes to mind. So already the sounds are bringing back those Amblin type of movies, you know.
Tomorrow's test
Now,
will set the course of your entire future.
Now here's the thing. It has a Star Wars feel to it, but not a look to it. You know, I mean, all that stuff looks like it belongs in Star Wars, but it also looks like it belongs anywhere else in any other classroom. Okay.
Don't you ever want to do anything exciting? Like what? What if we could go anywhere we want in the whole galaxy? A real adventure. No more pretend. I found something buried in the woods.
Now, look, a lot of this is starting to feel like Star Wars, but at the same time, it's also starting to feel like Monster Club and the Goonies and all that. So far, I'm getting both of those feels, and I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. Okay, I will admit that this does look kind of good. All right.
What do you think it is?
I think it's a lost Jedi temple.
Here's my problem with this scene right here is that the Jedi temples were like huge structures, okay? So I don't know how a Jedi temple would be like that unless it's like the side of a mountain or something, okay?
Hello? Be careful where you step. We're lost. Really lost.
Now, what I'm seeing here in these scenes is these kids are discovering a bigger universe than even they knew. Okay, it just almost seems like a journey of discovery. Okay, of them finding out that that there's a bigger universe than just what their little hometown is. Okay, so I'm liking that. You know, I'm digging that. You know, it feels like a fun Star Wars film if they could keep that and not let all that other nonsense kind of cloud it up a little bit.
Dangerous out there in space. Trust no one.
You're a Jedi.
Now, he don't look like no Jedi. Now, I'm not saying he ain't a Force user, but I don't think he's a Jedi. Okay, and I also don't think he's a Sith either. But they're kind of making him really ambiguous, and I think that's for a reason. But I don't think he's either a Jedi or a Sith. I just think he's a Force user, you know? Similar to how, you know, there are Jedi and Sith who can use the Force but are not Jedi or Sith. I think he was my guess is his backstory is he was being trained at the temple when 66 went down, and he escaped and stayed hidden all these years, but still could tap into the Force. That's my guess on what's going on there. And it is coming on Disney Plus, as you saw there. You know, look, I'll just be honest with you. Okay, this did look good. Okay, and it still does look good. Okay, and I was getting the feels of like all those Amblin movies. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like the Goonies and Monster Club, and I'm sure there's others, but I was getting those feels. You know what I'm saying? And it felt like these kids were on a journey of discovery that they thought they had found I guess a Jedi temple, but really it turned out to be probably a ship that belonged to a Jedi. You see what I'm saying? So there's that. It's just we've been burned so many times, okay, that at this point I'm going in this with a theory of half empty. It does look good. It's just sometimes it feels more Amblin than Star Wars. There needs to be an evenness to it. Like this could be in Star Wars or Amblin, okay? But sometimes it just kind of delved too much into that Amblin kids adventure story, you know? But yeah, like, after everything we've gotten from Star Wars, from the Acolyte, from Mandalorian season 3, this does look like to be something top notch. Okay, here, it's just we've been burned so many times. They've inserted all this nonsense so many times that there comes a point where you got to kind of ask yourself, how many more times am I going to get burned before I just say forget it? And it is coming out on December 3rd, so there ain't really a whole lot of stuff happening on December 3rd. That's really that big break that TV companies make to now for Christmas programming and that sort of thing. But I'm getting the feeling of those Amblin movies, which I'm not totally disagreeing with. I'm just worried that it's going to feel more Amblin than Star Wars. That Star Wars is going to go into the background in a lot of the episodes, and I don't want that. But I am digging what I'm seeing here a little bit. I am digging it. You know what I'm saying? I am getting a good feel from it. It's just we've been burned so many times that, even though I'm liking what I'm seeing here, it does not make me want to jump up and get Disney Plus and Hulu. It just don't. Just because we've been burned so many times. But that was Star Wars Skeleton Crew. It comes out on December 3rd. It's going to come out on Disney Plus. It's streaming on Disney Plus. It's going to be a series. I'm liking what I'm seeing. It has like an Amblin, and honestly, it also feels like Stranger Things without the darkness. Okay, and I do think that's what they're going for, is like Stranger Things, Amblin, the Goonies type of feel to it. Because it felt like these kids were discovering this larger universe, that they always heard about and spoke about. And I bet you it turns out that these kids live in like a community, like a planet where hardly anyone ever leaves. Okay, so I do believe that that's what we're getting here. But yeah, I'm digging it so far. You know what I'm saying? It's just we've been burned so many times that I'm really apprehensive to even say I like it because I don't want to get burned again. But I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. And I think this is something that we should keep our eye on. Absolutely. But yeah, Star Wars Skeleton Crew comes out on December 3rd. Does this make me want to jump up and get Disney Plus and Hulu back? No. Just because, we'll have moments like these. We'll have these glimmers of hope, and then they'll be snuffed out by nonsense. And that's what I'm talking about is, it looks good, and it's that the premise sounds great to it. It's just how many times have we been burned? You know what I'm saying? Literally, how many times have we been burned? But yeah, that was Star Wars Skeleton Crew. It is going to start streaming December 3rd. I am going to keep my eye open on this one. That's for sure. So we have one last movie trailer to look at, and that is Marvel Thunderbolts Star. I'm adding the star because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a secondary title to it later on. Okay, because they would not add that in the trailer if there wasn't going to be. I don't know a whole lot about the Thunderbolts except that they're made up of some of the villains of the Marvel Universe who are trying to seek redemption, and also Sentry. Okay, I really don't know a whole lot about them, but this trailer was very interesting. It came out Comic-Con, and so we're going to take a look at it, and I'm just going to kind of give you some of my impressions of it. But this here is the Marvel Studios movie, Thunderbolts.
I click leave on porch. Your subordinates will be reported to DoorDash HQ.
Alexi, it's me. Open up.
Milena?
So already we're seeing Red Guardian and the new, I guess you could call her the new Black Widow, Natasha's sister.
Huh? Hold on! Elena!
Hi, Dad.
Sorry about the wait. It was on an important call. Highly classified. Lot of work. Many irons in fire.
You feel fulfilled?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so full. So filled. But why do you ask this? What brings you here?
There is something wrong with me. An emptiness. I'm just...
Now, this was pointed out to someone to me that was looking at this trailer. If you look at Bucky here, and it's good to see Bucky back, but he's a member of Congress because of that button right there. If you look at that button, that's a button that's worn by the House of Representatives. So that means that he's been elected to Congress. So that tells me right there that any past crimes he had as the Winter Soldier have been, overlooked or expunged or whatever. Okay. But could you imagine that campaign? Bucky Barnes for Congress? I think that's a House of Representatives pen, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Bucky Barnes for Congress. Can you imagine that?
drifting.
And here we see Walker. He was supposed to be the new Captain America, but that didn't turn out right.
And I don't have purpose.
See, there he is. He's looking at his own, I guess you could say, his own story on his phone.
I thought throwing myself into work was the answer.
And we know she did that. I was trying to see what that paper said because they're emphasizing it a whole lot, but I can't really make out what it says.
When your feet on the air, your head on the ground.
So we're seeing the Ghost. I think the last time we saw Ghost was in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I believe. No, that was after. It was in the second Ant-Man film. Okay, but the one that ended with Janet and the rest of them being snapped away. So it was the second Ant-Man film.
Oh no.
Who are you?
I'm Bob.
Who sent you, Bob?
Nobody. You were all sent?
Everyone here has done bad things. Shadow ops. Robbing government labs. Contract kills.
Yeah, so?
So I think they're making out Thunderbolts to be like the anti-Avengers, the anti-heroes. The ones you send in to do the dirty work,
So, someone wants us gone. What the hell?
We brought it.
Now, there was something I saw right there. I'm going to go back for a second. Now, look at there. There's Loki's staff. And that looks like a Battle of New York exhibit. So, that must be like artifacts from the Battle of New York. It looks like a Battle of New York exhibit because you can see in the background it says Battle of New York and coming. I think it says coming soon. I'm not sure. But yeah, it looks like a Battle of New York exhibit there. They've got Loki's staff. They've probably got some Chitauri technology, pieces of Chitauri tech. So this looks to be like an opening of an exhibit about the Battle of New York.
We're brought up with this belief that there are good guys and there are bad guys.
What's the plan?
This could get messy.
But eventually, you come to realize that there are bad guys and there are worse guys and nothing else. Look at you. So adorable.
Now, see, right there, when they did the little asterisk right there, that tells me there's going to be a title later on. That they couldn't reveal the title, the full title, because it will reveal too much of the story. So I'm kind of wondering what that full title is going to be.
Don't worry, she's bulletproof. What happened to bulletproof? It's bulletproof-ish.
Is that Bucky?
That's not good.
Okay, so it's coming out May 2025, only in theaters. I guess it'll come on Disney Plus maybe 4 months after that. So May, June, July, August. So around September this time next year, it'll probably be coming on Disney Plus. What do I think of it? I really don't know what to make of it at this point. I mean, it looks good, but like I said before, they're kind of like in the same boat as Skeleton Crew, where we've been burned so many times, but at the same time, we're also hearing about massive changes behind the scenes at Marvel. So, if I see more trailers of this and it does look like good enough, I might just, watch it, when it comes on Disney Plus. And I might try to check it out if in a theater. It's just, in order for me to check out a movie in theaters, it has to be really good. Because I have to drive an hour away to the nearest theater to watch it. Okay. But yeah, like it looks good. Okay. It's got decent action. I didn't see any like nonsense in it. It's just, we've been burned so many times. They're kind of in the same boat as Skeleton Crew, where it looks good. It's just we've been burned so many times by Disney. And with all the drama going on around with Disney and Marvel and everything else, are they still going to play their, woke games, or are they actually going to give us a decent movie? But yeah, that was the Thunderbolts asterisk. There's probably going to be a title later on, but if they couldn't reveal it because they'd be revealing too much information. That's my opinion on it. It looks good and all that. It's just how many times can we be burned? But it comes out May 2025, only in theaters. It's going to have Bucky and the new Black Widow, Red Guardian, all that, But yeah, like it looks good. They're kind of making it out to be like the anti-Avengers, where they're the guys who go into the places you don't supposed to go into and do what needs to be done. So that's what they're making it out to be, like the anti-Avengers, I guess you could say. So let's move on to our gaming news segment. And the big news this past year is that the PS5 Pro is real and it's going to cost you $700. $700. I'll get to more of that later on, but think about that for a minute. A gaming console is going to cost you $700. All right, let's look what it's got. So, as we look right here, it says here that it has announced that they're focusing on this mid-season upgrade with a larger GPU, advanced ray tracing, and AI-driven upscaling. Okay, so that's what they're focusing on in this mid-season upgrade. Okay, so the GPU is going to have 67% more computing units, a 28% faster RAM, and the new console will be able to deliver up to 45% faster rendering. Ray tracing could be up to 3 times as faster than the PS5. And AI upscaling tech, it's called PlayStation Special Super Resolution, or PSSR, which I don't think a whole lot of games are using that yet. But basically, it's make the games a lot more prettier. Okay. There's something I want you to notice. First off, no disk drive. Okay? No disk drive. You got to pay extra for a disk drive. If you want a disk drive, you got to not only pay for the console, but you got to go out and buy the disk drive. Secondly, if you like downloading a whole lot of games, you're going to want a big hard drive. Okay? or else you're going to have to be sacrificing games for space. All right. You got to go out and buy an additional disk drive for this or hard drive for this. And that's an additional $100. All right. So for $700, you get the console without a optical drive like Blu-ray player or something along those lines. And you got to go out and buy a hard disk drive for an additional $100 if you want to download a whole bunch of games onto your console. $700 plus $200 equals $900. If you want a true blue disc console of the PS5 Pro. That's ridiculous. Okay. It's $700 for the console. You get the entire console, but no disk drive. And if you want a bigger hard drive, you got to go out and buy it separately too. $700. Is there any good news in this? Well, let me kind of explain this from my perspective. Okay. First off, I think having a $700 console is ridiculous. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think it's outrageous that they would even consider having a $700 console. I think it's outrageous. It's crazy. But what does the current PS5 cost? Now, this is the Pro. It comes out in November, okay? But what does the current PS5 cost? Well, if you go over to like places like Walmart and Amazon, it costs like $500 for the disc and $400 for the digital version. Okay, so $500 for the disc, $400 for the digital version. I think that the only good news that could come out of this PS5 Pro is this. First off, I think they're going to want to push people towards the PS5 Pro. So I think that if we're lucky, we will get a drastic slash in prices this Christmas. If we are lucky. All right. Because they're going to want to be pushing people towards the PS5 Pro. But they're also going to be wanting to push people towards the PS5. They're not going to want to be giving Xbox an edge in price. So what they're going to probably do is have the PS5 Pro for those who can't afford it, you know. But also slash prices on the regular PS5. So that way to draw more people into it. Because I know a ton of people who have flat out told me the PS5 Pro being at $500, that is way too high. They could understand $400. And just think for a minute, that's not including taxes, wherever you live at. However much your taxes are in your area. So let's say for Arkansas, where I live at, let's say taxes would be $450. Okay, just for the console of a regular PS5, not counting. This is not the Pro, just a regular PS5. After taxes and everything, to get a digital PS5 regular would be $450 roundabout with taxes. For a disc drive with a disc and everything, it would be around $550. Okay, think how much it would be for a PS5 Pro. You're talking $700 for the console. Let's say $50 for the taxes. And then another additional $100 for the disc drive. We won't count the hard disc drive. But additional $700 for the optical drive, like the Blu-ray player. So you're talking $650 for the PS5 Pro. I think the only good news I see coming out of this reveal, out of the PS5 Pro, is hopefully they are smart enough to lower the prices of the regular PS5 and PS5 disc. Okay? They're smart enough to lower those prices by Christmas. Because if they don't, Xbox is going to run away with this. Because their console works probably as good as the PS5 does. But at a cheaper price. Okay? And it's going to give not only Xbox, but Nintendo a better price option for people. They're going to say, hey, look, you've got the PS5 over here. It's costing you $500. Come over here to Xbox. We'll give you an Xbox console for $400. Or even Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch is probably cheaper than. I mean, the most highest priced Nintendo Switch I've seen online is $400, and that's with taxes included. Okay. If PlayStation does not do something about the current price of the PS5 now, then they might as well just hang it up and just start working on the PS6, because Xbox and Nintendo are going to take this advantage and say, hey, look, we give you the same value for a cheaper price. That's literally what they're going to do. Okay. But I also think that the PS5 Pro reveal is really a death knell for the PlayStation 4. And I don't want that, because I love my PlayStation 4, okay? My PlayStation 4 has lasted a number of years. I bought my current PlayStation 4 Slim in 2020, okay? During the height of what was going on. And it still works like a dream, okay? I clean it and everything, and it still works like a dream, okay? And I definitely didn't pay no $500 or $700 for it. And now you're asking us to pay $700 for a PS5? A PS5 Pro that does minimal things in terms of graphics. That has a option that many games are going to have to now update themselves for. And now you're asking us to pay $700 for it? If PlayStation doesn't lower the price of the PS5 down to, I would say, $400 for the disc-based version, and $300 for the digital. If they don't lower these prices, and if they're smart, they will, because it will cause more people to dump their PS4 for the PS5. Right now, no one's going over to the PS5 because many of the games you get on the PS5 are still available for PlayStation 4. Okay, just recently, a popular Star Wars game called Jedi Survivor just came out for the PlayStation 4 when originally it was a PS5 exclusive. Okay. So until such time as there's like an actual game that makes me want to go to the PlayStation 5, right now, the only game that really makes me want to go to the PlayStation 5 is a game called MechWarrior 5 Clans. That's literally the only game that makes me want to jump over yet. And I'll talk more about that in the trailer segment. But like, $700 for a console. $700. And you don't even get a disc drive with it. And I'm hearing people saying, oh, well, it ain't that bad considering all this and that. Yes, it is. Never in my life would I pay $700 for a console. I would rather go without console for a little bit. Never. That's way too expensive. The only way that they can perhaps make that work is if they start lowering the price of the regular PS5 console. That's literally it. That is literally the only way they're going to be able to justify the PS5 Pro price. Is basically say, okay, we understand that this is a premium product, and we also understand you have a choice of a PS5. We're going to lower this to like $400 to $300, depending on the version you get. But we hope you buy the PS5 Pro. That's literally the only way they're going to be able to justify it. Because until such time as that does happen, people are going to stick with their PS4s. Okay? It's just that simple. And I know not everyone's going to be doing that. But the majority of people that at least I know who are literally trying to survive day to day, but still want to have a game to play, all right, they're going to stick with their PS4 until the PS5 becomes affordable. And right now it ain't. With everything going on, they thought it was a good idea to make people pay $700 for a PS5 with no disc drive. I mean, whoever came up with this price should be fired. Literally fired for stupidity. Given that with everything going on, someone thought it was a good idea that a PS5 be $700 without some type of drastic price cut for the other versions of the PS5. I can understand if it was like some 30th anniversary edition or something like that that came with some extra bells and whistles. But we're talking a PS5 Pro, normal edition that you have to go out and buy an additional disc drive for if you prefer to buy disc games. And if you want a bigger hard drive for downloading games, you got to go buy that extra too. It's insanity. I'm sorry. It's insanity in my eyes. Okay. I know there are people out there who are saying, oh, well, it's cost effective. We've got a chip shortage and all that. I get that. Okay. But to make people pay $700 for a console, when you have a regular console already that's $500, okay, without some type of drastic price cut, okay, if they had come out and say, okay, look, we understand this is a premium product, and we also understand that over here we have the regular PS5 that still works and still does everything it needs to do, but we want people to start migrating over to the PS5 from the PS4. So we're going to do a massive price cut on the PS5. We're now going to make the PS5 the same price as the PlayStation 4. And if you turn in your PlayStation 4 to GameStop or wherever you do it, all right, we will give you an additional $300 GameStop, whatever. We'll give you an additional $300 credit towards the purchase of a PS5 Pro. Okay. Guaranteed $300 credit. All right. That's what's going to cause people to start transferring over to the PS5. Until that happens, people are going to stick with their PS4s. Okay. There just are. Okay. Right now, the only game that I really want to get for a PS5 is MechWarrior 5 Clans, which hasn't come out yet. And I think it's been delayed again. But yeah, like $700 for a console, that's insane from my point of view. Especially with the way things are now. That's insane. And whoever thought that was a good idea should literally be fired from PlayStation. Because if they don't cut the price on the regular PS5, I guarantee you that Xbox and Nintendo Switch are going to take complete advantage of this. And they're going to say, we give you the same value for half the price. That's literally what they're going to say. But I'm hoping that with Christmas coming around and them wanting to migrate people over from the PS4 to the PS5, they will make that price cut. But if they don't, then I guarantee you this is going to be a dark Christmas for PlayStation. So now let's focus on the other big gaming news of the summer, and that was Black Ops 6 beta. This here is some shots I got from the Black Ops 6 open beta for PlayStation 4. I did not pre-order this game. I have no intention of pre-ordering this game. I really, at this moment, don't have any intention of buying this game for the first couple of months. Okay? But let me just give you some impressions I have. So, the open beta included Black Ops 6 multiplayer only. No campaign, no zombies. So, without knowing what those are about, let me just kind of give you what I'm thinking. So, first off, I really thought Omni Movement was going to make everything a lot more fluid, a lot more fast. But it didn't. Okay? It's almost like they added this mechanic to make things a lot more faster and fluid. But at the same time, they left the doors in there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you can still have someone hiding behind a door, hear you sliding on through, and still take you out. Okay? Now, there were a few maps where the doors were gone, like Babylon. Babylon was one of those fast-paced maps. Okay? But in other maps, they're still there. You know, the doors are still there. Another thing is that they've gone back to score streaks. Now, this is a staple in the Black Ops part of the Call of Duty line, okay? I've never been a fan of score streaks. I've always been a fan of kill streaks. I like kill streaks better than score streaks. You know, so that's going on, all right? I'm just not a fan of score streaks. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's nothing against score streaks in particular. I'm just not a fan of it, okay? But the real biggie that really hit me was SBMM. Skill-based matchmaking was cranked up to 11 in this game. I mean, it was just jacked up. All right. And I thought that with Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2, that they would have learned their lesson. that if you're going to have SBMM in the game, then have a separate playlist for casuals where SBMM is not taken into account. They didn't. At least not in the beta. Now, look, I don't like SBMM. I never did. I'm always the guy who thinks ping is king is the way to go. Okay? Ping is king is for me. Okay? And it always will be. But if you're going to have SBMM in the game, you should have a casual playlist where that does not take into account skill. Where it's just, ping is king or region or some other form of matchmaking instead of skill-based matchmaking. Okay? Because when you have skill-based matchmaking as the only way to really matchmake, and that's what Black Ops 6 felt like. Like everything was relied on SBMM instead of ping or region or language or whatnot, then you really make every game out to be a competition when really there are times where you just want to log in and just have fun. Just be casual or level up weapons or whatnot, They have not learned their lesson, and I'm starting to wonder now if maybe SBMM is so ingrained into this Call of Duty, this whole Call of Duty thing, that they can't. That it would really require some type of intense, reworking of Call of Duty itself for them to really, get rid of SBMM. And that's where my thinking is right now, because I think at this point, skill-based matchmaking is so ingrained in the new Call of Duty, in the past couple of games, that there is no way for them to really remove it without doing some massive rework of Call of Duty itself. That maybe it's part of the kernel or maybe it's part of this whole Ricochet stuff. I don't know. But I think at this point we have to kind of ask ourselves, is SBMM so ingrained that they can't remove it? Okay? That there literally is, the only way to remove it would be to wipe away a whole bunch of other stuff. And another thing that kind of got to me, and I get this is a Black Ops game. This is not a Modern Warfare game. I get that, okay? But they went over to the whole Call of Duty where all the games are under one umbrella thing because they wanted to start carrying stuff forward. But the thing is, none of your stuff from Modern Warfare or Modern Warfare 3, carry over. So all that money you spent on skins and stuff will only go over to Warzone. It will not carry over to Black Ops in any way. All right? And I thought that the whole reason they went to the whole unified Call of Duty thing was so that could happen. And that calls into question, what about all those Call of Duty points? That calls that into question. Does that mean that they're going to wipe away your Call of Duty points as well? So that means that all those points you've probably saved up by now, they're gone. So, I really don't know what to think. I really don't know what to think about Black Ops 6 at this point. And I really do think it does give credence to the argument. And I've felt this for a while now, that maybe they need to take a year off and not release a new Call of Duty game, period, for 1 year. Okay? Really kind of take a breather, because at this point, when it's fall when the new Call of Duty comes out. When it's summer when the trailer for it comes out. It's become that way that every fall we get a new Call of Duty game. Every summer we get the first trailer for it and everyone gets excited for it. And then they start actually looking at the thing and they're saying, wait, what's going on here? I think maybe it's time for Call of Duty to kind of just take a breather for a little bit. Really take a breather for a little bit. Other games have done it, and it has proven successful. For another thing, I started playing Modern Warfare 3 because of the Black Ops 6 beta, because you had to have the Modern Warfare game in order to play the Black Ops 6 beta. While doing that, I started playing Zombies again, Modern Warfare Zombies. And I was able to access the bow and arrow. Zombies became so much funner when you had the bow and arrow as your starting weapon. It became so much funner. at least in my point of view. And that's another thing. Like, by the time the new one comes out, the old one has really found its feet and knows what it wants, what it's going to do. But then by that time, the new one has come out. So I'm really thinking that maybe it's time that Call of Duty really take a hard look at itself and really say, you know what, we need to take a break for 1 year. You know, really just take a break for you 1 year. Now, I'm not saying nothing new Call of Duty comes out that year. What I'm saying is that a full-fledged title does not come out that year. Maybe have a DLC come out or something like that with extra maps and modes and campaign missions and that sort of thing. But really, really ask yourselves, is it worth continuing this whole yearly cycle? I don't think it is at this point. I think at this point they really need to consider taking a year off, especially with the fact that now Activision is owned by Xbox and Microsoft. So I really think that that is something they really need to consider. And I've heard stories about this being a game that's been 4 years in development, and I hope it does come out good. I hope the campaign is great. I hope zombies are great. And I hope they do some tweaks to multiplayer. I don't think they can at this point for launch because by all accounts, this is a demo of multiplayer. Okay? That's what this is. But I really do hope that they do kind of line things out a little bit. You know, but still, the one biggie that's bringing Call of Duty down, that really is bringing it down, is skill-based matchmaking. And I get what the data says, but when you're playing a game where the only way to matchmake is through skill, it doesn't make it fun, okay? It makes everything to be a competition when it doesn't have to be, okay? Sometimes you just want to log in to level up guns. Sometimes you want to log in just to have fun with your friends after a long, hard day. Not every game wants to be an esport, okay? So if you're going to have skill-based matchmaking in the game, at least have a playlist where it does not take that into account. At least have that, okay? At least have a casual playlist where Ping is King is back. But they won't. Because I think at this point, skill-based matchmaking is so ingrained into the, I guess you could say, into the coding of Call of Duty that they can't without a massive rework of Call of Duty itself, without going through every line of code and removing skill-based matchmaking from it. So that's where my thought is. And from Black Ops 6, going back to Black Ops 6, it just felt like they were making the same mistakes they have made year after year. But anyway, that's what I think about Black Ops 6 right now. I hope y'all enjoyed this video in terms of Black Ops 6 and all that. But yeah, it just seems like same old mistakes are being made over and over again. And they're not listening to the community when we say we don't want skill-based matchmaking as the only way to matchmake. Okay? Not every game wants to be a competition. Some of them want to be fun. And until they do something about skill-based matchmaking, it's going to be the same thing every year. And that's another thing is to kind of round everything out. They need to remove skill-based matchmaking as the only way to matchmake. Make it an option. Make there be a separate playlist for ranked, all that. And finally, stop doing with the yearly releases. Okay? I'm not saying don't release anything new the year after a new release comes out. Release a DLC or something like that. But start with the yearly new releases because by the time the old game has finally found its feet and it's starting to feel good and lined out and everything, a new game comes around. And at this point, it's become like a joke where you know when fall's around because of the new Call of Duty out. All right? So, yeah, they need to start with the yearly releases. They need to start going to a 2-year release schedule for new games, maybe a 1-year release schedule for DLC. And they need to do something about skill-based matchmaking because it's driving more and more people away, especially when you got games like Delta Force coming out. That's going to be real competition for Call of Duty at this point. Now let's focus on the gaming trailers. And these were trailers for games that caught my eye in one way or another. Maybe I'm a fan of the series, maybe I'm a fan of the console, whatever. They caught my eye, okay? And I'm going to do something that I probably normally don't do. And I'm not just going to focus on PlayStation trailers, but I'm going to focus on trailers across the spectrum. Because after PlayStation announced that PlayStation 5 Pro was $700, I started considering that maybe I should probably look at other game consoles. Okay. So that's why I'm going to focus not just on PlayStation games, but games across the spectrum. Okay. Whether they're games I've played before or other entries I've played before, stuff like that, So this is going to be across the spectrum. This ain't going to focus on one console in particular. But these are just trailers that have caught my eye in one way, shape, or form. Okay. So this here is my summer 2024 game trailers review, look back, whatever you want to call it. My summer 2024 games trailers review. So the first trailer we're going to look at is a strategy game that's going to come across all consoles as well as PC, and it's called Sid Meier's Civilization 7. Now, last year, I started playing Civilization 6, and I found that I loved it a lot. Okay, it became one of my favorite games. One of those games that you always have on your console, it became that. I really did enjoy this game. And when you have the add-on packs with it, it just added to it, Like the whole thing about turns, building things for so many turns and researching and religion and all this other stuff, how that all kind of factors into it, really made the game interesting. Now, I'll be one to admit that I'm not for peace. I'm usually a conqueror. Okay, I'm usually a conqueror. All right, I'm just going to be flat honest with you. But I really did enjoy Civilization 6, and I'm really excited to see Civilization 7. But let's take a look at the trailer, and this here is Sid Meier's Civilization 7. Now, the first thing I'm seeing is that they are going to have natural disasters. Now, this was not in Civilization 6, at least not in any of the versions I had. There were DLC that I did not get for Civ 6, but it looks like they are going to have natural disasters. So I'm wondering how that's going to play into everything. I'm really digging the graphics. I'm just wondering if this is PC or if they're going to dumb it down for the consoles, because sometimes they do dumb it down for the graphics down for the consoles. So I'm really hoping they don't, because I am digging the graphics so far and just how everything looks. Now that looks pretty dope right there, because like the character interactions in Civ 6 were basically just two people on the screen at the same time. Now I played on PS4, okay, so keep that in mind. So that looks pretty dope right there, where you've got them both on screen at the same time, kind of doing movements. So I'm liking that so far. So it is coming February 11th, 2025. This is Civilization 7. It will be available for PS5, PS4, Xbox, Switch, as well as Steam. I like what I see so far. I do have questions about the interface, if they're going to keep the same interface. I do have questions about the research trees. You know, are they going to do the research trees again like they were, or if they're going to change them up a little bit? Are they going to change up how you do research, that sort of thing? Another thing I have a question about is, are they going to keep the same pattern? Like in the original Civilization 6, okay, the one I started playing with, they started like in like the Stone Age, and then they moved on into like the modern era. Are they going to actually try and go into the future is what I'm asking. I mean, are we actually going to have an opportunity to go into like the future with future technologies and stuff? And another problem I had with Civilization 6, and it ain't really a problem because I understand where they're coming from a gameplay point of view. But it was that the units, the civilizations, they had their own units, okay? But those units sometimes were only in a certain era. Like you would have a certain type of unit for, say, the Persians, and it will only be for that era, and then it would become like an infantryman or something. Okay, so I would like it to where if you have like the Persians, okay, and let's say you have the elephant soldiers, okay, let's just call them elephant soldiers, people who ride on elephants instead of horses. Instead of it lasting just for the medieval era, it goes on to the future where as it goes into the future, it actually upgrades and changes itself. Okay, that's something I would like to see right there. Is that instead of limiting these units to one era, they go into the future into other eras. Okay, so yeah, I would like to see that. This is a game I really like. I did not think I would like Civilization 6. And if they keep the whole thing going with Civilization 7, I'm going to like it too. Okay? And honestly, this is a game that I would consider pre-ordering. I mean, it really is a game I would consider pre-ordering for the PS4 and even for the PS5, okay? Because it is going to be on both consoles. But like, yeah, this is a game that I would consider pre-ordering. In fact, I've thought about pre-ordering it a couple of times, but just haven't really, because I'm worried about the interface. I'm worried about how they're going to do research, diplomacy, all that. Okay. Are they going to follow the same pattern as Civilization 6? If they do, then yeah, I probably will get it. If not, then I might have to wait a little bit and see how everything kind of pans out. But yeah, that was Sid Meier's Civilization 7. It's coming out next year, February 11th, 2025. I have to say I'm going to keep my eyes open for this one and wait for more information to come out. But so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I'm definitely hooked. So the next game we're going to talk about is a PS5 exclusive, and it's called Phantom Blade Zero. Now, this game is very interesting to me because I really like what they're doing here. It really feels like they're taking Ghost of Tsushima and mixing it with Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Okay. I'm hoping it's not going to be as hard as Shadows, but either way, I'm really digging what I'm seeing so far. So this here is the trailer for Phantom Blade Zero. So already we're getting that Japanese feel to it, from Shadows Die Twice, from Sekiro, Ghost of Tsushima. So this is feeling more like them than, say, Elden Ring or Dark Souls.
Left 42 or 41. The Faceless is here!
So we know the name of our heroes are going to be called the Faceless.
Don't go up there. Turn back.
It is really dark. I mean, this this whole like trailer is like really, really dark. I'm not denying it, and I'm not putting it down for being so dark, but man, it is really dark.
Or it's too late.
Now, if you look here, I'm going to back it up for just a second. If you look here, below the enemy, they've got a health bar, and what I'm assuming is going to be a stamina bar. This is straight out of Sekiro and Ghost of Tsushima. You know, where you have to break a person's stamina in order to really get some hits in on them. Okay? But I will admit that I really hope this ain't as hard as, say, Sekiro. Okay? You know, Ghost of Tsushima was not hard at all, but I really enjoyed it. But Sekiro was extremely hard from what I saw of the gameplay. So I really hope this is more along the lines of Ghost of Tsushima in the difficulty department than it is Sekiro. I think a lot of these moves we're seeing, like that move we just did right there where he threw the grenade back at the dude, I think they're probably going to end up requiring some type of upgrades. So I fully expect to see some type of upgrade system here. Yeah, that was Phantom Blade Zero. You know, I'm really digging the aesthetics and I'm digging the fast-paced action on here. This is going to be a real fast-paced gameplay here. And I'm digging it so far. Okay. I'm just worried about the difficulty because I've never really liked Elden Ring or Dark Souls just because of the difficulty. You know, Sekiro, I didn't really like it either. Not because I hate any of the gameplay of it. It's just so difficult, you know. Ghost of Tsushima, I absolutely loved because I thought the difficulty was right where it needed to be, and I really dug, you know, Ghost of Tsushima. So I'm hoping in the difficulty department it leans more towards Ghost of Tsushima than say Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. But anyway, that was Phantom Blade Zero. It is coming out soon for PlayStation 5, and it will be another game I'm keeping my eye on. Okay, our next game that we're going to talk about is quite possibly one of the few games right now that I would jump from the PS4 to the PS5 for. And that game is not Call of Duty, it's not Battlefield, it's MechWarrior 5 Clans. I absolutely loved MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries that came out last year. I loved the DLC I got with it. I only got 2 DLC with it, but I loved them and I'm really enjoyed MechWarrior 5. And now we're getting a story-driven MechWarrior game. Before MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, it was procedural driven. You know, the missions would pop up on their own. Now we're going to get an actual hardcore campaign that focuses on Clan Smoke Jaguar. And if you are a MechWarrior 5 or a Battletech fan, you know what that means. But look, let's take a look at MechWarrior 5 Clans, and I'll just give you some of my thoughts and opinions on it.
How much of your humanity are you willing to give to see tyranny fall?
Now, here's the thing you gotta understand. Clan Smoke Jaguar has always been a conquering clan. You see, 500 years ago, and this is according to the MechWarrior ethos, there was a big war that separated the inner sphere, basically all of humanity that has spread out into space. One of the generals, okay, he did not want to see his army just broken apart because of ideology or whatnot. He believed in what they called the Star League, which was the coalition of all these different types of humans together. So he grabbed as many as he could and he went out for unknown space. Then 500 years later, they returned. His children returned, basically. The descendants of those who had left had returned to wage war. Now, they were stopped from accomplishing their task, but they still came back with a vengeance. And we're dealing with Smoke Jaguar. And there are two types of clans. You have the Wardens and you have the Conquerors. The Wardens believe we should guide humanity back to a golden age of the Star League, whereas the Conquerors want revenge for forcing their forebears to leave the Inner Sphere. They want to conquer everyone. And Smoke Jaguar was a conquering clan. Okay?
We are Smoke Jaguar. Willing to tear everything.
Now, something I'm seeing here is we're seeing a third-person perspective in this. I'm being told, and I've looked into it, that there will be a first-person perspective. I think having that choice is a good thing because third-person gives you a lot more view in terms of what's going on in the battlefield, whereas first-person makes it a lot more immersive. You know, you're in the cockpit, you know, you're looking through the pilot's eyes, all that. Okay. So I really like the fact that you are going to have a choice in the matter.
Thing down.
Now, this right here, and I'm going to back it up for a second. If I can find it. There we go. This right here is making me wonder if perhaps you ain't going to be given a choice of mission. And if that's so, I want the choices to actually matter. Okay, where if you attack this spot, then this is going to happen. If you attack this spot, then this is going to happen. I want my choices to matter, and I really hope they do that in this game. And there's a Timberwolf right there. Some call it the Mad Cat, some call it the Timberwolf. Don't matter. It's my old friend, and she is back.
They shall tremble before us.
And this right here is a first-person perspective. Like I said before, the first-person perspective makes it a lot more immersive, but the third-person perspective gives you a lot more viewpoint.
Our might.
Now, right there is another staple of the MechWarrior franchise, and that is heat. Now, you've got to have enough weapons to do damage to the enemy. But if you pack too many weapons, you're going to overheat, and you're going to have to shut down, and now give the enemy time to wipe you out. Okay? So there is a real balance between heat and weaponry in this game. And heat plays a big part of that. Okay? Because like I said before, you got to have enough weapons to destroy the enemy, but you can't have so many that it overheats you and you leave yourself vulnerable.
This is the clan way.
Now, as you can see here, we're not just going to be dealing with mechs. We're also going to be dealing with planes and helicopters and tanks, probably missile carriers, that sort of thing. So we ain't just going to be having to deal with, large, giant, lumbering robots, but also nimble, fast tanks, aircraft, and that sort of thing. Now, this right here is the Mech Lab, what they call. This here is where you're going to probably do a lot of your personalization. MechWarrior has always been about personalization, okay? You can outfit your mech however you want. If you want all machine guns, you can have all machine guns. If you want all lasers, you can have all lasers. I'm more of an energy person, you know. But if I have to put on an auto cannon 10, I will. But I'm more of an energy weapon type of shooter than I am anything else. But here's the thing. Like, you still got to kind of keep an even balance between heat, between armor, and between weaponry. There is a real delicate balancing act going on in MechWarrior games now, and I'm hoping they continue that with this as well. Because, you know, you really got to balance out how much heat you can generate, how much damage you can generate, and how much damage you can take.
Incoming missile. New target.
Kerensky's justice comes. We were made for this.
And that right there is MechWarrior 5 Clans. It will be coming to PlayStation 5. It will not be coming to PlayStation 4, from what I'm being told. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You know, this is the one game I would, as of right now, I would get a PlayStation 5 for. Okay. Now, it says here October 3rd, but recently, like, I think in the past couple of days, they've pushed that back to October 17th. But still, this is one of those games that I would get a PlayStation 5 for if I could afford it. It makes me want to get a PlayStation 5. You know, it ain't Call of Duty, ain't Battlefield. It's this one right here. All right. But yeah, that was MechWarrior 5 Clans. It is coming to Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, and Epic. And, you know, it sucks that it's coming to PlayStation 5 because it means I can't play it. But honestly, it makes me want to get a PlayStation 5 just for this game. Now then, our next game is the return of an old friend. And I'm not sure how many people can attest to this, but when I was a kid, I would go to the arcade or, you know, the local restaurant and play the arcade games there. One of the games that was usually around me, you know, at the local arcade or at the local restaurant or whatnot, was a small little game called Double Dragon. Well, now we're getting a return. Double Dragon Revive. This is coming to the PlayStation 4. So let's check out this trailer. It is the gameplay trailer, and I'm just going to let you know what I think of it and everything. First thing I'm noticing is the graphics have been updated from what I remember, which is a good thing. It's got that 2D, 3D look to it, so that's pretty cool. You know, it really is like a beat 'em up, similar to Streets of Rage that came out a little while back. And it looks like they're going to have weapons, which is awesome. Now, that right there looked like an environmental attack, you know, where the environment attacks you. So that's going to be in it as well. Now, the original Double Dragon did have weapons in it. I wonder if they're going to expand on that. And also, this one looks a little bit more gritty than that one. Okay? I mean, this one looks a lot more gritty. And I'm trying to decide if the guy up on the wall there is Obobo. If I remember, I think that's the correct name, Obobo. So I'm hoping that that is true. That is a new updated look for Obobo. Now, that was pretty cool right there, having an axe. That was awesome. You know, so.
創設権とかいうやつを俺に見せてみろ。無敵だぜ。生きのいいやつらだ。実験体に最適だな。お前たちに恨みはないが、ここを守るのが俺の仕事なんだな。
どうされると痛いかな。私が排除します。
さあ行こうぜ。
It looks like both brothers are going to have separate abilities. Like one looks like it's going to be a wind ability, and one's going to look like it's going to be a fire ability.
これが創設権。
And it will be on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. What else can I say? I'm liking what I'm seeing, you know? I mean, I remember Double Dragon from a long time ago from the Nintendo, and it's good to see him back again, especially as a beat 'em up, you know, because that's the way it was back then. And it's good to just see him again. I hope the price ain't going to be too much. It says here, and I'm going to remove my face for a minute, that will be on PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Steam. So it's coming to all the consoles and to PC, which I'm happy for. It's just good to see Double Dragon again. So as I said earlier, that I was going to not only focus on games that were going to be on PlayStation, whether it be PS4 or PS5, but I was going to focus on games also that was going to be on other systems. And the reason for that is just because with the most recent announcement of the PlayStation 5 Pro being $700, maybe it's time for me to look at some of the other console options. Okay, just kind of check them out. And that is Xbox and Nintendo. Now, the one game that really caught my eye this past summer was Metroid Prime 4. Okay. And we're going to take a look at the trailer right here. But it's been a long time since I've had Nintendo. The last time I had Nintendo was with the N64. Okay. I've not had Nintendo since. Since then, it's either been PlayStation or Xbox. But Metroid Prime 4 has caught my eye because I've heard a lot of good things about the Metroid Prime series. Okay. So we're going to take a look at the trailer, and I'm going to give you some of my thoughts and opinions on it. But this is the trailer for Metroid Prime 4. You know, that's one of the most iconic things you hear about a Metroid game is that song at the beginning there. So it don't matter what game it is, as long as it has that, you know, interesting, it's a Metroid game. You know, that song harkens back to like the old NES, you know, game I used to play, the old Metroid game. All right, so already we know that this is not going to be like Dread. Okay, that this is going to be first person, not 2D side to side gameplay. This is going to be a first person shooter type of gameplay. And from what I understand, and I'm not very knowledgeable on the entire Metroid timeline or whatnot. From what I understand, in this game, we're not going to be dealing with Metroid. We're going to be dealing with space pirates and what they're trying to do. So that's what I understand from my research is that instead of focusing on like the Metroid and Samus's connection to them and that whole storyline, that in this story we're going to be talking about the space pirates and them trying to overthrow the Federation and whatnot. Now, I can already tell that the action is going to be kind of frantic just because of everything I'm seeing here. Okay, we all know this note right here. Um, I'm assuming that this is going to be at the very beginning of the game, but I would suspect that somewhere along the way she loses all her power-ups because they wouldn't want to make it too easy. Either that or they're going to let her keep this ability, just this ability alone, and let her like earn other power-ups as well. So I take it this here is the big bad, but what's he doing with Metroids? Because like from what I understand, the Prime series is always focused on space pirates. But this here looks like he's got two Metroids behind him. Unless, oh wait, could that be Dark Samus? Let me go back here. Let me look at that again. Could that be Dark Samus? Because I remember there was a Prime game that had a Dark Samus. So could that be like Dark Samus right there? I'm just kind of wondering about that. Like I said before, I'm not very knowledgeable on the timeline of Metroid and stuff. But like that could be Dark Samus. And it's called Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Okay, so it's coming out in 2025. So overall, I'm liking this trailer. I'm just going to be honest with you. I am liking this trailer a lot. Let me take off my helmet here and talk about it. But yeah, like I like the trailer. Okay, I thought it was really well done. I'm not very knowledgeable on the Metroid story, okay, but from what I understand, the Prime series has always focused on space pirates, whereas the other Metroid games like Dread and elsewhere have focused more on the Metroid and Samus's connection to Metroid. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm wondering if they're going to keep with that because that one scene at the very end, and let me get back here and kind of show you what I'm talking about. If I can find it again, like right here. No, that's a little bit too far. Yeah, like right there, that right there. Okay, I remember there was a Metroid Prime game that I heard about that had like a Dark Samus. So either this is Dark Samus or just based on the armor, because the armor doesn't look exactly like Samus, but it's very reminiscent of it. I'm wondering if someone went and found Dark Samus's armor and put that on, and now they're calling themselves like Dark Samus or something like that. But the question is, what is he doing with two Metroids? Because from what I understand, like I said before, I'm not very knowledgeable on the whole storyline between Metroid because it's been a while. But like, I thought that that whole storyline with her and the Metroid was finished, was done with. Okay, that's what I thought, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Because there's two Metroids behind them. Behind this person, and I think they're trying to make us think this is Dark Samus, but I don't think they would just go out and do Dark Samus again. I think this is either Dark Samus, it could be Dark Samus, or someone went and found Dark Samus's like diagrams and armor and stuff and replicated it. And now you've got this person leading these pirates and somehow able to control Metroid. So that's going on. But yeah, this was the gameplay for Metroid Prime Beyond. It is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, I should say. It's coming out in 2025. Let me get over here. Yeah, right there. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. It is coming out in 2025. There is no like hard set release date for it yet. Which okay, this was just announced I think about 3 months ago as I'm recording this. But yeah, it looks pretty good. And if I had to say if there were games that would make me jump from the PlayStation to Nintendo, it would be Zelda and Metroid. Those would be the only two really that would get me enough to jump from PlayStation to Nintendo. Okay, because I've always been a PlayStation guy. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I've always been a PlayStation guy. But before that, I was a Nintendo guy. I owned like the original like NES and all that stuff. I owned the NES, SNES, Game Boy, and N64, Super Nintendo, all that. But after that, I jumped to PlayStation and stayed with PlayStation for a little bit, and then I went out and got an Xbox. But I didn't like Xbox because after having it for 3 months, it busted down on me. And I had to send it back to try to get it fixed, and even they couldn't hardly get it fixed. And finally, I said, "Forget this," and went and traded it back into GameStop for a PlayStation 4. So yeah, I've either been Nintendo or PlayStation, but right now I'm PlayStation. If there was one game that would make me want to jump ship, it would definitely either be Metroid or Zelda. Okay, it would be one of them. All right, so I am very curious about this game. I want to know more about this game because, right now with the way PlayStation is doing, with the whole $700 for a PS5 Pro and no price cuts on the OG PS5, yeah, I'm looking at other options in terms of gaming right now. But this was Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and it's coming out in 2025. So a long time ago on the N64, there was a game called Perfect Dark. Well, now they're doing a reboot, I guess you could call it that, but it's coming out on Xbox. And with my mind now open to other possibilities in terms of console gaming and whatnot, I checked this trailer, and I like what I saw. So we're going to sit here and check out the trailer for the remake for Perfect Dark for the Xbox. But I do have to say, there is not a whole lot I know about this game series, about this story. I don't know a whole lot about this. But anyway, this here is the trailer for the upcoming Xbox game, Perfect Dark.
Your target is in possession of a radioactive device. Stop Carrington's attack at all costs. Good luck, Agent.
Okay, already I can see that the hero is probably part of some organization. And like I said before, I don't know a whole lot about the story of this game. I don't even know if it's going to take place in continuity with the old Perfect Dark that came out on the 64 a long time ago. But anyway, it seems like this person is going to be part of some organization.
I always knew I had an instinct. I could see the world differently. I thought it would be like any other mission. I was wrong.
Welcome to Garden City, where it's a pleasant 23 degrees all day, every day.
Okay, already I'm getting like Cyberpunk vibes. So I'm assuming they're going to make this open world like Cyberpunk 2077. So that's where my mind is going so far, just based on what I'm seeing here.
How far to his last known location?
Local forces are also tracking his whereabouts. You need to find him before they do.
I'll have to improvise.
Generating voice print.
افتح. ارسل واحدا آخر.
اختبر البوابة بحسب.
Okay, so I'm already getting Cyberpunk 2077 vibes. Okay, I think they really are going to make this open world. I like the whole idea of getting a voice print. That way you don't have to go around looking for keys and stuff. I think the only problem with that is that now you have to find the correct guy to get the voice print, and whatnot. But I'm already getting Cyberpunk 2077 vibes. So I'm wondering if there's going to be like safe houses and side missions and whatnot.
What readings are you getting?
We are getting odd readings from your monitor. Can you confirm?
I'm looking at the screen right now.
Our intel places Carrington on the second floor.
On the life we think we know.
Okay, already I'm also getting hints of Mirror's Edge. There's a lot of parkour. And if you go back, and I'm going to go back a little bit and kind of show you what I'm talking about here.
This is Carrington on the second floor.
See right there? In Perfect Dark, they had like everything you can parkour off of as a certain color. So I'm figuring they're probably doing the same thing here. They're making it so where if you can like grab onto a pipe, you can, grab it. And if it's yellow, you can grab onto it. Stuff like that.
On the life we think we know turns out to be a lie. There's only one way forward. Find the truth. Scan's clear. I'm going in blind.
Carrington!
Damn it! Analyze. What am I looking at here?
Carrington appears to be targeting a research facility. If he attacks it, the casualties could be astronomical.
Now, here's my question. Are there going to be multiple ways to do missions? Like, so far, we've seen kind of a mix of stealth and assault gameplay. But if she wanted to go full stealth, was there a way to do it? If she wanted to go full on assault, was there a way to do it? And what are the benefits and advantages of doing either one? Okay? Like, I'm kind of curious about that. So I'm really hoping that there is, like not just one way to do a mission, but multiple ways to do a mission. That was something that Cyberpunk really did well. They set up these missions to where there were multiple ways you can do a mission. You can go in guns blazing and face off against 20 guys, or you can go in stealth-like and like do like Metal Gear Solid type stuff. But I'm really hoping that there are multiple ways to do missions.
Agent Stark, it's a pleasure to meet you. I could use someone with your skills.
Okay, right there we saw some bullet time going on.
I had to lose everything before I could see. What this world was really hiding.
I hope you're ready, Agent Dark.
Are you all seeing this?
Once you open this door, there's no going back.
Okay, that was pretty dope. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That was like really good, honestly. A really good trailer right there. I mean, I really like that trailer. But here's the thing. Let me do something right here. So here's the thing. I've got a couple of questions. That first off, what we saw in the gameplay here was her going in and using not only stealth but assault type of gameplay. Okay, where 1 minute she could hack someone's voice and get their ID and use a voice recognition system to get access. Okay, then the next minute she was shooting. Okay, I'm kind of wondering about like if there are going to be multiple ways to finish objectives. Okay, like could she have gone the entire mission just shooting everyone and going in guns blazing? Okay. Or could it been where she wanted to go in stealth? No shooting at all. How would that have changed the equation a little bit in terms of the game? That is something that I'm kind of curious about. Like, are there benefits and advantages to going in stealth or assault, or is it all just going to be the same thing? You know, I'm already getting shades of Cyberpunk 2077. It really does feel like they're getting that feel of Cyberpunk. So I'm assuming they're going to do open world. I'm assuming there will be safe houses and side missions if they go that route. That was the feeling I was getting, like they were doing a Cyberpunk 2077 open world type of game here. I could be wrong on that, but that was the overall feeling I was getting. That this was trying to be a Cyberpunk 2077 type of gameplay. But I'm like what I'm seeing. I don't have an Xbox. I have PlayStation. But with the way PlayStation has done now, I might go to Xbox, and Perfect Dark is definitely one of those games I would check out if I did go to Xbox. So being a PlayStation fan, I know what PlayStation games are iconic with PlayStation. You've got Infamous, you've got Killzone, Resistance, Uncharted. Well, I also know what games are iconic to other consoles. Like Nintendo has, Legend of Zelda and Metroid. And Xbox has the Master Chief and, of course, Marcus Phoenix and Gears of War. And now we're getting a new Gears game. It's called Gears of War E-Day. And supposedly it's supposed to go all the way back to Emergence Day. And I'm not very familiar with the lore of Gears of War. I've always been a PlayStation guy. I know a little bit about Gears. I know it's really, really graphic. It's really, really bloody and fun. It's a cover shooter. And the trailer looked really interesting. And as someone who's kind of keeping their mind open to other possibilities in terms of console gaming, it looks really good. So let's check out Gears of War E-Day, and I'll just give you some of my thoughts on it. I think at this point, no one can deny that's Marcus Phoenix. I think that Marcus Phoenix and Delta Squad have become ubiquitous with the Gears series at this point. So yeah, it's good to see him back, and he looks a lot younger. He's not as old as he was in the original Gears game, so this is definitely a prequel. And that music, I think that music lets everyone know this is a Gears game. I mean, you cannot hear that. It's almost like the Metroid music. It's almost become like iconic to Gears. So yeah, it's kind of like Halo. That that type of music from Halo. Gears has that music, and that immediately, without even seeing the trailer, lets anyone know this is a Gears game. and there you see like the emergence. I think this is going to go back to before the Gears games, and we're going to see Emergence Day, and we're going to see how Marcus's story start, like where he was and all that stuff. But yeah, you're seeing the emergence right there. And that right there was Gears of War E-Day. Let me keep going further and see if there's any like release date. No, there ain't no release date. So there ain't no release date for Gears of War E-Day yet. So let me say this. I am not an Xbox fan. Okay, the last time I had an Xbox, it was the Xbox Series S. I had Gears of War 4 with it. I had to think for a minute. It's been so long. And the game was good, but the console sucked. I mean, it lasted literally 3 months before I had to send it back in to get repairs. And then even after that, it was still having problems. And I said, forget this. I'm getting a PlayStation 4. But with PlayStation doing what they're doing now with the PlayStation 5 Pro, wanting $700 for a console, and not having any type of price cuts for the OG PlayStation 5, I have to look at other options, okay? And Xbox is an option, and Gears of War E-Day makes it a option worth looking at, you know? I mean, of course they have Halo, you know what I'm saying? Of course they have Halo, and now they're going to have Call of Duty. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Call of Duty is going to become Xbox exclusive, but they do have Call of Duty. But Gears of War E-Day is a option that needs to be looked at. Okay, it needs to be looked at, and it looks good. I mean, yeah, I know this is a cinematic trailer that the gameplay could change as time goes on, but it did look good, and it talks about a part of the lore that we haven't really discussed. Which is Marcus Phoenix on E-Day. What he was doing on that day when everything changed. What the rest of his squad was doing on that day, everything changed. Why they emerged on that day, on that particular way. A lot of things will be answered in this game. And I think it will. I'm not saying it's going to set up a series, because at the beginning of Gears of War, the first one, Marcus had to be let out of prison, So I don't think it is setting up a series, but it could be. Okay. And I think it's going to talk to us about why Marcus was sent to prison in the first place. Why was he there in prison in the first place when everything was going on? So with that being said, Gears of War E-Day looks incredible so far. The cinematic looks good. I'm waiting to see actual gameplay. But yeah, it's one of those games that if I did decide to jump over to Xbox for, it would definitely be an attractive option to do so. So over the summer, I was watching a lot of streams online. And this one game was just blowing up out of nowhere. Okay. Now, I had heard this game before, back in January. But over the summer, they were doing a test for their Battle Royale extraction mode for the game. And the game was called Delta Force. Now, at one time, it was called Delta Force Hawk Ops. But now it's just called Delta Force. And the extraction mode for the shooter was just blowing up. I mean, everyone was streaming this thing. Okay. Well, they released a trailer kind of detailing all their modes. And so we're going to take a look at it, and I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts on it. Now, that right there, that's scenes from the original Delta Force games. I played, let's see, Delta Force 3, I think was the one I played on the PC a long time ago. And it was a good game. It was a really good game. Okay, so this is kind of their like Battlefield mode right here, where it's going to be a combined arms type of multiplayer, where it's not just men on the ground, but tanks and that sort of thing. And right there, you see some of the destructibility right there. Honestly, just by this right here, it looks like there's going to be more destructibility in this game than there was in Battlefield 2042. That's what it's looking at right now.
Asara Guard declared occupants of Zero Dam on June 8th following an attack.
The conflict between the Asara Guard and Havoc threatens the balance of the world. The Asara Guard is a tempest of disorder.
Now, I'm looking back on that right there, that scene that I just saw right there. And that looks more like the extraction mode they're going to have in the game. Because in the preview they showed and they were streaming over the summer, they had moments like this where you have to face off against NPCs. So I'm wondering if this is going to be part of their extraction mode, or if this is going to be part of their campaign, or if this is going to be that Havoc, that Battlefield type of gameplay. Because like this looks like it would be from the extraction mode where you would take on an NPC to get extra gear and that sort of thing. But it's kind of, but it does look good.
Of disorder, sowing chaos wherever it roams. But we are honed to strike at their very core. Havoc has cutting-edge technology, but is built on exploitation and suffering. United, we will plunge into the chaos.
Now, what I just saw there with them throwing that like shield down and stuff, they're trying to do a lot of things. They're trying not only to be like Call of Duty, but also Battlefield. And I'm wondering how that's going to play out. But already from what I've seen of streams and this, already both Battlefield and Call of Duty are going to have to up their game, or else Delta Force is going to take all their business.
To find the spark of peace. We are GTI. No one gets left behind.
So let me say this. This looks like a really good contender to take on Battlefield and Call of Duty. Okay? And maybe even Escape from Tarkov. But here's the thing I'm going to tell them right now. Stay away from skill-based matchmaking. Just stay away from it. Okay? If someone comes along and tells you, oh, you got to have skill-based matchmaking, fire them. Okay? Because that is the one thing that is really hurting all these games right now is skill-based matchmaking. If you have to have skill-based matchmaking in a game for one reason or another, okay, then I'm going to just say it right now. Have a mode where it will be part of the matchmaking, and then have a casual mode where it won't be. Go back to Ping is King, okay? Go back to Noob Christmas, okay? Go back to those times. Do not force skill-based matchmaking down people's throats, okay? If there's an option you can put in the game where you can remove skill-based matchmaking from the game, please do add it, okay? Please. We don't need skill-based matchmaking because that is what's really hurting it's what's hurting Call of Duty, Battlefield, all these games. It's what's hurting them. Okay. But I liked what I saw here. Okay. It's just, it seems like with all these games now having skill-based matchmaking, I'm worried they're going to add it into this, and I don't want them to. So far, from what I've seen, I have not seen that, but I'm really concerned that that is something that they are going to add to this, and I really hope they don't. And that if they do, because I understand they've got to answer to shareholders and that sort of thing. And if they do, they add it to a separate playlist instead of having it forced down people's throats like Call of Duty, like Battlefield have done. Okay? So if they can do that, they will steal a lot of Call of Duty's thunder they will steal a lot of Battlefield's thunder. And I say this, Battlefield and Call of Duty are going to have to up their game with Delta Force on the block now. They're going to have to up their game. You know, the free ride is over. Before, it was either Battlefield or Call of Duty. Well, guess what? The free ride is over. Battlefield, Call of Duty are going to have to really up their game now because now there's a new player in town, and it's Delta Force. And from what I saw, you know, I saw them streaming the extraction mode for the game. Not the Havoc mode, which is like their Battlefield type of game, but the extraction mode. Kind of like Escape from Tarkov and DMZ stuff. From what I saw of the gameplay, it was really good. I mean, they had a social area. They had a place where you can upgrade your equipment, where you can buy your equipment, all that. Now, it was for PC. What it's going to do to console, I don't know. But from what I understand, it's coming to consoles the first quarter of 2025. So that's like January, February, March of 2025. But it's going to come to PC first, okay? And I like what I saw. And if they could just keep the skill-based matchmaking out of it, go back to Pingus King and make it fun. Not make every single game out to be like a esports event. Just make it fun. Then, yeah, they're going to definitely take some of the thunder from Call of Duty and Battlefield. So that was our look back at the summer of 2024 in terms of what all happened that I was looking at. And we looked at a couple of things. You know, we started in TV and movie news with Gina Carano's lawsuit. Then from there, we focused on some news, and then we went to movie trailers, and we talked about movie trailers such as Ballerina and Gladiator 2. Then we went on to gaming news, and we talked about the PS5 Pro being revealed at $700 price point, which is just insane to me. We talked about the Black Ops 6 beta happening. And then we went on to game trailers, and we looked at PlayStation game trailers. We looked at Nintendo game trailers. And we looked at Xbox game trailers because with the PS5 Pro at $700 price point and no cuts to the OG PS5, maybe it's time to start looking elsewhere. But look, I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you guys are staying well, staying healthy, staying safe. I hope you guys had a great summer. Expect more videos from me as fall finally sets in and I start looking at more stuff online in terms of videos and stuff. But I will do a separate video just to kind of describe what's all going on with my channel. But look, y'all guys stay healthy, stay well, stay safe. And I hope to see y'all in the next video and in the next stream. Laters.